Hey, it is Geek Speak, as you well know, and today we're talking about exchanging services. So, you guys know me, I'm Pip, and I run a search first agency. Yes, that's my new tagline. And this is Greg. Greg, you are live.
Hello, everybody. My name is Greg, and I have a company called Original 72 Creative, and we do web design, web development, graphic design, and digital marketing for mostly companies in the Lower Mainland.
Nice. And together, we help run this fabulous group where we get on here weekly and talk about something awesome. So today, we're talking about exchanging service. Let's first say hi to Sasha. She's here. Woohoo! Gwen's here. Francine's here. And Natalie's here. Yay. Natalie, I haven't talked to you in a long, long time. I hope you're great. Oh, you can't hear Greg. Oh, yeah, right? There you go. I wanted to mute Greg because he was talking about himself, right? Okay, Greg, reintroduce yourself quickly because that was terrible of me.
All right, everybody knows me, but I'm Greg, and I run Original 72 Creative, and we're a full-service website, graphic design, and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
Right? Who focuses mainly on websites, people, mainly on websites, but we collude and get things done. So today, Greg, we're talking about something awesome, and I want people to chime in so badly because it's about exchanging services. So, guys, have you ever exchanged services with a client, like kind of a contra deal, or like you've used their services in exchange? You know what I mean. Anyway, drop it in the comments because we want to know, and we're gonna get right into it because we got some stories today, Greg, don't we? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the reason this came up, well, there were a couple reasons, but one of the reasons this came up is because I have often wondered. I work with a countertop company, and I've often wondered because they're very hard to get information from. Maybe I should redo my kitchen and get a new countertop. Now, should I use them? That's the big question. They pay us to manage their website and their pay-per-click advertising. And the reason I want to maybe do this is it's harder for us to get information about the services. So Greg and I kind of dove into talking about exchanging services, and from our history, which we have, different histories, we came across some things. So in the newspaper, for instance, I sold Seymour Mountain advertising package, and they exchanged free passes, ski passes, for advertising. Now this is a big company, so it's called Contra. If you don't know, but if you do know, it works really well for some big companies, but does it work well for small companies? So Greg used to own a business. He still owns a business, but he used to own a business with like lots of staff. And one of his staff members, Greg, tell us about Dave.
Yeah, he was one of our partners, and he loved to, and he still loves to support and sort of use the services of all of the clients that we had, um, which was, I mean, fine, I guess, in the beginning. We were supporting them, but sometimes those relationships don't always go the way you like. So, sometimes they cause conflict. So I'm not a fan anymore of using the services of my clients for the reason to basically eliminate the possibility of there being friction between the two parties and having relationships go sideways.
So that's an interesting comment about how relationships can go sideways more easily, right? If we're exchanging services. So, for instance, you don't exchange services for massage therapy, do you? I know you have a massage therapist client.
I do,
Oh,
partially.
who knew?
I do partially only because my wife likes getting massages. So
Okay. So how does that work though? Do you do it like
it's
dollar for
very
dollar?
loose because this client is actually has become quite a good friend. So there's a little bit different of a dynamic there.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, we bonded over cars, and now we're pretty good friends. So that's not a good example because yes, some of his hours I do say, okay, I'm not charging you for this in lieu of Jamie getting a couple of massages
Oh, so
here and
you don't
there.
even get the services. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't even get the services. No, I never go for
Um,
massages.
Interesting. So, I exchanged services with somebody recently, and you know what? It never, um, the deal never finished. Which is something I think that can happen when you exchange services. It was a branding course, and we were doing their measures, of course. And it just never, because we moved and I put things on hold, when I reached back out to the person, um, their response was, "Oh, lots of questions. We'll talk about that later." And I just let it go because I never heard back from them. So yeah, it's, you know what? It's not money in the bank. I think that was a, like, I mean, I guess it's money in the bank for you with the massage because, technically, how much is a massage? It's like a good $100 a go. Yeah.
This
Yeah. Greg,
sorry,
what happened?
my computer's a little slow, and I was doing something on the live video on the page, and then so I muted just in case.
Mm.
But my computer was acting slow.
Ah.
Anyways, yeah, the I don't know his service. I don't even know how much. We just do hour for hour, so I think I'm getting a better deal because
Mm.
I only charge $75 an hour, and I think an hour massage is probably like 125 or 130
Right.
with him. So
So, here's a good question. There's a lot of coaches out there. We've seen the coaching era explode online, especially. And I'm wondering, like, do you guys exchange services for coaching? How does that look? And like, um, yeah, what about taxes? Like, there's so many different avenues here of like when you exchange services, because
but if you exchange services, there's no money, right?
exchanged. Interesting.
So taxes is a wash. You're doing something for someone, they're doing something for you.
So that's a
As soon as you put it on record, like here's an invoice for 5 hours, which I'm discounting at 100%,
ah,
and then they invoice you like with 100% discount for something like that, that might get you in a situation where the government's like, hey,
what you doing?
you have these invoices that you're discounting 100%. We want to collect GST or PST or something on those services, but
Mm.
I would just steer clear of that altogether if you are going to get yourself into something where you are using a client's services. Either you agree they use you and you use them and you bill accordingly and you're just using each other's services. That's probably the cleanest
Mm.
because you're billing them and they're paying the GST or whatever, and then you're using their services and paying whatever their services fees are. There's nothing weird about that. You're just using each other for each other's services.
So, do you get asked this all the time? Because I often do. For instance, we have a pool. Yeah, yeah, totally. I said it. I'm gloating a little. I know, I know. But in that pool, there's a lot of issues that come up, so I shouldn't be gloating at all. And we met a pool company, and the lady's doing Google Ads, has a billboard, and we're marketers, so we're like, hey, hey, and she wants to exchange services with us. And I get this question a lot because, I mean, maybe because I constantly talk about marketing, but I just wonder. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of about making money, like to pay my bills. So the exchange of services, especially if those services are like literal products, like a pool skimmer. Like, so do I it's an interesting, it's really interesting to try to make that decision. And I wonder if other people make it. Like, who out there in our little group of watching people who out there exchanges services. Aster's joined us. Hey, Aster. So glad you're here. I have a big announcement at the end of this talk, guys. It's going to be super awesome. Aster's a part of it. I can't wait. But before that, Greg, what do you think about, so for instance, one of my experiences, I got a mortgage. And, because I talk about what I do a lot, now the mortgage broker is a client, which is amazing. They're great clients. But, so we have this relationship where I bought a product or service first, and now they're using our services. So that one I'm down. I'm pretty cool with liking that. It's kind of a one-off. And I think that's a big deal when you decide on services. Not like massage therapy, I guess that's kind of a one-off instance each time. But what about doing somebody's website or me doing AdWords on a consistent basis for some sort of exchange? Would you do it?
Probably not.
No. And why?
Like I said at the beginning, it just opens up for there to be something that happens between that relationship that will end up going sideways. So I just, for the most part, I steer clear of any type of
Deal.
using my clients or paying for my clients' services. The one thing I will say is that because I don't not use potential clients or client services, of course I will discount a certain number of hours for that massage therapy client so that my wife can get massages.
But he's also paying, right, as well, on top of.
Yeah, he pays me for what I do, and then I knock off an hour or two in lieu of Jamie getting a massage, a couple massages. So it's minimal.
Right.
But what I will do is, if I know a client won't work with me, but they have something I want, I will suggest a trade.
Oh.
So,
who wouldn't work with you? Who wouldn't work with you?
For instance, I have, people that are out of my range. They're
can't afford you.
They're smaller clients, and they don't want to pay what I'm worth to do stuff. So what I will do in that is, and I've done this already, I have a client who is a mechanic, and I have
three cars, people. He's got 3 cars.
I have a now classic VW 93 VW Corrado, which I'm just going through the process to try to get collector plates for now. But my wife doesn't like me spending a lot of money on that car because it's old. It needs work here and there. So this guy needed. He started his own shop. So he needed some of my services, but wasn't going to pay for them. So he was talking to me one day, and he was like, "Hey, does your car still need a little bit of work?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you want to trade?"
Ooh.
And I said, "Sure," because I wasn't going to get that work anyways. So at least I'm getting something for it of value that the business owner also is like, it's not going to cost me as much to work on this car as what I would charge. So he's just getting that value from me in services, and I'm getting that value from him to work on my car.
Right. Aster's saying we're old and she does not do exchanges. I love that. Oh, Trevor's joined us. Yay. Hi, Trevor. That's an interesting one because I'll tell you guys, before we started this chat, Greg and I had a talk on Tuesday, and Greg was like, no, I don't exchange services. And now that we're on here, he's like, oh yeah, so the massage therapist got a deal, the mechanic gets a deal. I'm like, Greg, who doesn't get a deal?
But again, exchanging services to me, I find, is more a situation where you are paying for their services and they are paying for your services, and I don't like that dynamic. The massage therapy thing is different because he is actually a good friend of mine now, so it's a loose relationship that is the
moves
hours are
around.
very loose.
I will tell
So
you guys, you see how I'm moving? Okay, I couldn't do this a couple days ago, just so you know. Just so you know. Anyway, that's besides the story. Okay, so we were going to talk pros and cons. Um, so I think one of the pros that we came across was if you don't put anything on paper, you can save some money, right? And you're not paying taxes, which I mean, neither here nor there. But if you do put it on paper, then you are paying the taxes. So pro con. But what other cons? Let's go with the cons, Greg, because there were a few that we discussed that I thought were smart. Got any? He's staring blankly, guys. He does
I mean, other than the relationship going sideways,
right. Okay, so what was it? It was there's no layer on top, so it can really skew business, I find, because what if your costs are different? Like, what if you charge 125 and they charge 75? How do you figure that out, right? I don't know about you, but I might do an exchange for snowboarding tickets just saying, but or something else like. But what were other cons? It gets convoluted. I think that's one. You guys got any cons for doing exchanges, and have you done any exchanges with businesses? For instance, Greg and I, we could exchange services, but we actually pay each other because it just makes it easier, I think. So what a and double chance. Oh yeah, you're increasing your chances of it all getting messy really quick, right?
hmm
So so yeah, I think besides the fact that now we know, Greg, that you do exchange services, I think the outcome is that maybe avoid this, yeah? And would you say avoid if you can?
I avoid at all cost, other than the situation I mentioned.
And would so if somebody like besides your mechanic, if somebody came up to you for an exchange first, you wouldn't do it, no?
Exchange first? No.
No. Never even. It is never even. Oh, interesting, right? I think, was that Aster? I like that comment. Oh, yeah. It's
And
true.
that's how people at some point tend to feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick here.
Mm,
So that starts building animosity, and eventually, that could lead to the whole relationship going sideways. I'm big on reputation management, and the last thing I want to do is to get myself into a situation where the other party, seems to feel like they're not getting what they should be out of the deal.
yeah.
Because, like, I mean, I've been doing this for so long. Everything I do is based on referral, and so I need to keep up that. I need to keep up those referrals and make sure everybody's happy with everything I do for them,
That makes sense.
no
Yes.
matter what. Even if it's a trade scenario or something like that, you need to make sure what you're doing for the other party, regardless of the situation, is how you would do it for any other person. And that brings up another point: is if you feel like you're not the one getting value, are you going to start working half-assed with what you're providing them?
Oh, that's a
And
good
then
point.
that's going to cause conflict down the road too.
Yeah, because how far are you? Okay, I don't know about you, but I have some clients that when they call, they say jump. I say how high, like, and I'll be like, and do you need the meter stick? I know. So you wouldn't do that for contra clients, right? Necessarily. They would. I think they would take less of a priority. That's what I've noticed with exchanging of services is they don't become the top priority, and it is that whole you get what you pay for, as weird as it sounds. Even if you're like, an exchange is bartering, it's not money for value. Well, I mean, it's value for value, not money for value, and I think that's where it can go funny. So Sasha's saying she likes to swap when both parties benefit. I do exchange coaching for things. Interesting. I wonder, Sash, are you coaching or are they coaching you? Such a good question. And Joe is saying something very interesting. It's long, Joe. I can't read it right now, but the gist of it is he's talking about products. I'm going to go back and answer this one. I like it. I like it. I don't know. you know, as I grow my business, I think that I might build something like this into my business where there is an exchange. We do a lot of in strategy. So in our proposals, we give a lot of information. So technically, that's an exchange, right? You listen to my proposal, and I give you some solid tips. I guess that's not the same thing, though, is it? No, no, no. So, often I'm the coach. Sash says, hey, Yolanda's here. This is awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. So, what type of services, Greg, besides Macars, mechanics, and mechanics and massage therapy, like, would you do a one-off trade ever? Would that make more sense than not?
I think one-off trades would be more likely, and ones that could work for both parties. Because if you're doing a one-off trade, there's no relationship built after that where you could have that conflict in, oh man, I'm still giving this guy free services and not getting what I need out of it. So yeah, the one-off things probably are more likely, but I would still say like I'm not a fan of discounting services. I've never discounted my services.
This is
provide more value. So I feel this is a similar situation.
So here's a question. So speaking of value, so would you use your client services without trade? Like, would you buy your cupboards from the cupboard company, you know? Or would you go somewhere else? What do you think is smarter? Ooh, such a good question.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a one-off thing, and if they have the cupboards I want, I'll definitely use my client to get those. Sure.
You know, I used to have this theory when I worked at the newspaper, like, so here's a weird phrase. You either get sold or you sell in every situation you work in, right? In every proposal, you either sell them or they sell you, kind of thing. And so I used to have this thing at the newspaper where if I would, because I walked into lots of businesses and tried to meet people and get advertising in the paper, and if I bought something in the store, the people would never advertise with me. And so I got this weird thing of never buying from my clients. Now that's changed over time. And kind of a funny thing. Do you guys have any of those hang-ups? Greg, do you have a hang-up like that?
No, I don't think so.
He doesn't think he has any hang-ups, guys. None.
I've got hang-ups.
Aster's saying me either. So it looks like we're hearing equal value is key, right? And one-offs are good, potentially, and maybe be very considerate if you're going to use your client services. I think that's a big one, right? So because you're changing the relationship. And I mean, how long did it take you, Greg, before you and your massage therapist exchanged services?
Probably a good 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so it took a while first. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, like I said, I had worked with him for quite a while, and then we had bonded over
Cars.
some mutual interests. Yes, cars.
Cars.
And now we are really good friends. And so at that point where our relationship tipped over into, friendship, as well as, I do work for him. Mm-hmm. He said, hey, why don't, Jamie never comes to see me anymore. He said, what would you think of, knocking off a couple hours here and there, and I'll just give Jamie the equivalent time in massages. So
technically both parties are really benefiting in that situation, right? Like, because he lost Jamie as a client, so this is a way to get, and if he ever stops working with you, Jamie's going to complain that she's not getting massages, and then you're going to go out of your way and pay for those massages, right?
Yeah.
So technically, I think he's winning in the end. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both winning.
I'm not winning. Jamie's winning.
You are not winning. But so there's the thing, I guess I think the equal value thing and everybody feeling like they're winning. And I guess that's where it can go sideways quick, right? Where people don't feel like they're winning or they don't feel like, you know, for me with the mortgage broker, I really liked going through the process of getting a mortgage with them. So I knew, so because I knew the customer journey or one of the customer's journeys, right? So that really helped me in the process. Now, I wouldn't have had that as an asset in my pocket. Now we do their pay-per-click advertising, and that really does help me because I know what my experiences what was. Now, granted, I'm always looking to work with businesses that are doing advertising online because it's kind of an in the door, right? But exchanging those services, I don't know. Do you guys get asked a lot? That's like Greg. Do you ever get asked by new people once they get to know you? Hey, wanna exchange those services? No? Is Greg frozen, guys? Bueller. Hey, Bueller. Oh, there you are. You're frozen.
I, no, I don't get questions like that. My client base is more established businesses. So I think they value paying for services and know the value of what I provide and what other people provide, and see that trade is just something that could become complicated and not. It's not really a business thing that people should start or implement in their business to start doing that as a practice.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Okay, Joe's saying he gets asked frequently. I will tell you that I've been asked by established businesses and non-established businesses. And you know who's joined us? Miss Bernadette Butler. Guys, if you don't know this woman, you need to know her. She is amazeballs. She is somebody I love working alongside. And as for a female entrepreneur, she's got it going on. Anyway, Greg, we are out of here in a couple minutes, and I want to bring up what's going on in the next month. I don't know if you guys heard at the beginning of our chat, Greg said, I'm going on holiday. Greg is going on holiday for 2 weeks in September, and we are going to switch things up just a little bit. Don't worry, we're going to do the live every week, but we're going to do an interview with a geek. And that's right, I am interviewing 2 geeky members, one on the 12th and one on the 19th. And one of those members is Aster. So you will get to know a little bit about Aster and what she's doing. She's an active member in the group, and we just adore her. The other person, and he's joined us today as well, is Joe. Joe is going to get on here, and so I have about 15 to 25 questions I'm going to pummel them with, and they're going to answer them so we can really get to know them, because being social is about being social, and that is about getting to know people. So just be prepared. That's going to happen September. And Greg is going to post the monthly post before the end of the month, so we know what we're talking about all month. And
Hey, I'm away this weekend.
no, you're not.
I'm
But
away this weekend.
one of the greatest topics, and I really want you guys to join in with this one, because when I mentioned it to Greg, he was like, what is that? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, oh, once I explained, he was like, oh, I get that all the time. We are going to talk about, Greg, what was it? It is the, come on now. Come on. Oh, he's looking at the board, people. He's looking at the board.
I can't get there fast enough.
Greg, we are going to be talking about, here, let me show you. It
You
is,
don't even know.
it's the imposter syndrome. So I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way, but we all feel it. Even Greg, who's been in business for like 20 million years. Yes, he's a very old man with a gray beard, if you can't tell. But so we're going to talk about that and how to deal with it, right? Because we all grapple with this being a business owner, and our heads play those tricks with us. So that's one of the topics for next month. So yeah, I guess that's it, Greg. I did my announcements. So
I'm kind of bummed that I'm not going to be part of the interview.
Right, yeah. You know, if you want to shoot me some questions to ask them, we can get that done. I got to send over those questions pretty quick. We're getting some love. I love it, guys. We just enjoy you so much. Thank you for making this group amazing. And Greg, you too. Let me turn this way if I could really see you. You too. You guys are phenomenal and have made this group what it is. Because without you guys, it wouldn't be the same. So Join us next week, next Thursday. And next Thursday, we are talking about, yes, the imposter syndrome. And then we're going to get into some other amazing things. So join us. And Greg, you got any last words?
Make good choices.
Don't get captured. Okay, bye, guys.
See you, everyone.